Hello, everybody, and welcome to Proven Strategy to Increase Guest Spending in Your Taproom. My name is Andrew Copeland with Secret Hopper, and in just a minute, you're going to meet our four guests who are passionate about finding ways to make the taproom experience both more memorable and profitable. But first, everybody, close your eyes. Okay, you don't really have to, but I can see that a few of you did. Imagine if you never had another new customer. How would you make your current audience even more valuable? We're about to talk actionable strategies to how you can maximize guest spending, foster loyalty, and keep those guests coming back more often. But first, let's meet our guest. And Ross, you are to the right of me. Let's go first.
I have the honors. Thanks, Andrew. I'm Ross Stensrud. I'm the co-founder of Tapwise. What we do is we create membership and loyalty software for breweries, and we deliver that to the breweries through custom branded mobile apps. I'm based in Carlsbad, California. When I'm not working with Tapwise, I'm shuttling kids between sporting events and coaching Friday Night Lights, which is quite an experience.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Ross. And it was awesome
You
also
bet.
to hang out with you recently in San Diego.
Absolutely, yeah. Super fun.
Courtney, you're up.
Hi, I am Courtney Reyes. I'm the Director of Sales and Hospitality at Bristol Brewing Company. We are a brew pub based in Colorado Springs, and we have a really unique venue. We are in an old elementary school that was built in 1916 that got redone, and now it houses the brewery, a handful of eateries, a distillery, cocktail bar. So it's a fun little spot.
Awesome. I want you to visit someday. It's been too long since I've made it out to Colorado.
It's a ton of
But
fun.
going back to California, next up at Pure Project.
I just want to say, Courtney, I want to visit that spot. That's so cool, just the history of that building and everything. Hi, everyone. I'm Cheyna. I work for Pure Project Brewing. We've been based in San Diego for coming up on 9 years. We have our big 9th anniversary party in less than 2 weeks. Started in Costa Rica, and we're just built based on sustainability, 1% for the planet, and consuming less while we make really, really good quality beer. So I'm the hospitality manager here. Been with the brewery for about 6 years.
And how many locations do you all have, Cheyna?
We have 5 convenient pit stops across all of San Diego. So from North County, downtown near the airport, little inland, and so just wherever you are in San Diego, you can find us.
Your North Park location was a fantastic time to hang out. So thanks again for having us share that space with you.
It was our pleasure. Backyard jungle vibes there. It's a really cool space.
Yes, she's not lying on that. And last but not least, almost my neighbor in Richmond, Virginia.
Yes, sir. My name is Matthew Wallace. I'm with Hardywood Park Craft Brewery. I'm the taproom director as of 4 years now. Basically the same month that COVID had hit, I became taproom director, so that was super fun. Hardywood's been around for, we hit our 13-year mark recently this year, and I've been with Hardywood for 7 years now, and the taproom director for 4. Brew with Purpose is basically our mantra, and we try and apply that to everything that we do as far as just getting to work with purpose, making the day worthwhile, and making life taste better, basically. And sustainability and community engagement are some of our pivotal foundations that we really strive for all the time. So 2 locations and doing pretty well in Richmond, Virginia.
I always love visiting up that way. I don't know my next adventure, but I know we're going to be doing the Virginia Brewers Conference in September. So we'll definitely have to find some time to share a pint.
Yeah, it's always good to get out to see the craft brewers professionals.
So everybody, let's dive in. Both guests and perhaps even taproom managers and owners like all of us, we have short attention spans sometimes, and it's vital to make the most of every moment. So let's start big, then we're going to kind of hone in a little bit. If each of you had to pick just one strategy, yes, just one, that has helped increase check average in your taproom without making the experience feel too salesy, what would it be? And Massey, we're going to start with you on this one. So you have no time to think.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, my thought is just give them what they want. I mean, they're coming in for a reason. As long as you've laid the foundation and laid a great first impression, be particular to the details, but give them what they want ultimately. They want to come in and have a good time. So if you can provide that experience, the fundamentals, if you can provide the groundwork, the sale is kind of easy from there. Just if they have a big group, offer them a bucket of beer. We have a lot of happy hours that come in because of our location is around a little bit of a natural setting business district. So we get a crazy amount of happy hours at our larger location in West Creek, and so we're prepared for that. So we'll offer bucket beers, we'll offer private event spaces, semi-private event spaces, some that are more expensive, some that are it's kind of tiered. So whatever your preferences are, right down to a fire pit right now. If you really want to just have your kid's birthday party or something, and they do want to have the birthday parties here all the time, retirement parties, everything, we give them the space to do whatever they want in that particular arena without interfering with the public forum as well. So the public can come here and know that they're not going to get interfered with by a private event because we've made them more exclusive and affordable.
Yeah, it's all about those customized experiences that you talk about. Now, just because I'm curious, and this is completely off topic, but looking at those kids' birthday parties that you do compared to, let's say, like 2019 versus now, how much have they increased in frequency?
I mean, family's pivotal. It's critical to what we do here. Like, we would not have survived if we were like, no children allowed. I mean, it's come up a lot where the staff is like, can we just cut the children out? It's like, nah, sorry, I know it's a hassle. There's a lost kid every now and then, but it's worth it. The families love it. The staff gets used to it. We're accustomed to being the chaperones and sort of the supervisors of other people's children at this point. But we also provide a 21 and over exclusive area on our grounds as well. So that definitely received the most accolade online when we started that. It was the amount of positive feedback was overwhelming, and it's been very much taken advantage of. So there's that, and you have to just be considerate of every walk of life, no matter how small or young or old.
Good insight there. Now, Cheyna, let's look at Pure Project. What do you all do to really get people spending more money? Is there that one thing you're really pushing for?
I mean, Massey hit it on the head just with the customer need and the customer want, right? Like identify what that customer is interested in. And I think if I can only pick one thing, because I want to pick so many, but I'm going to kind of tangent off that, is set your team up for success. Knowledge is power, and the more details and information and education notes you can give them about all of your product you serve, from your barrel-aged stouts and bottles to your 4-packs, your newest releases, the more information you give them, the more knowledge they have. They provide that to the guests, and the guests just instantly, they just trust that team member more, and they trust what they're saying. And so they're going to be more inclined to buy extra and purchase extra, just because they're given all this education and information about the product. So yeah, set your team up for success with as much resources as you can about what they are selling.
I love that so much. Education is so important. Now, Courtney, how about at Bristol?
Yeah, I was actually going to agree with that education is important. If the staff seems knowledgeable and they're excited about what they're selling, I think that goes a long way. For us, one of the things that we've really focused on over the last year is like next level hospitality. They all follow the steps of service, but really understanding the difference between service and hospitality and how we go above and beyond for the guests and how we want them to walk away and have this memory of our space and their time here. And they might not be able to pinpoint exactly why they felt really good when they left. Just overall, they felt great, and hopefully they're returning and they're telling their friends and family and keep coming back to see us.
Now, I have a follow-up for you. Like, what do you define as a difference between service versus hospitality? Do you have something like in your, employee handbook, or just something you live by?
So I put my shift leads, we did like a book club, and we went through Unreasonable Hospitality. I like to listen to podcasts and then other books just about hospitality. And we run different scenarios, and we'll talk about, okay, in this situation, this is what the guests asked for. How can we go above and beyond? Or how can we anticipate their needs before they have to ask for it? And one of the simple things, our building is very large, and we have water stations throughout the building, but we tried to take it just one step higher, and we're dropping water bottles when we greet every table. So water bottles with cups. That was something before. It was like, oh, well, there's all these water stations and guests can go up and get their water. But isn't it a better hospitality point if we're greeting them, we're giving them water before they ask? and just trying to identify all of these little things that we can do that just help elevate the overall experience.
That's awesome. I mean, I think, yeah, Cheyna, take it.
I just want to just tangent what Courtney said there. It's the littlest thing you can do for experience. And if someone, we don't have table service, it's just bar service. But if someone's at the bar and they're asking for water, I'm not just going to point them to the water station. I'm going to offer to pour them one, and then I'll let them know where they can refill it if they'd like. But I'm more than happy to do that. So it is those little things that experience that just really set it.
Yeah, and with everybody's putting out a great experience right now, once again, it's those little things that you two are talking about that take it from just an average, nice, acceptable brewery taproom experience to something that just blows the guest's mind. And Courtney, I know you mentioned Unreasonable Hospitality. I imagine many of us have read it. It's an awesome read. But one quote that Will Guidara shared, I don't think it was in the book, but I read it following. He goes, "Hospitality makes people feel seen. If it's not, it's just really good service." And I just really like that. He has a lot of really inspiring things.
I think that's also to separate service and hospitality. It is critical.
100%. Now, Ross, you interact with people all across the country and you get a unique perspective on things. So obviously you're not running a brewery taproom yourself, but from your perspective, is there one strategy that you see that breweries are using to get guest spending more? And don't give me the obvious answer. Don't give me that.
Well, yeah, I mean, first off, let me say that all of my kids' birthdays are in breweries. So I'm that guy.
Come on over.
We appreciate it.
But yeah, I mean, so in a past life, I came from actually the fitness industry. And what I saw was that industry was fueled by recurring revenue and memberships. And one thing that I think is a big opportunity in the brewing industry is to kind of capitalize on that recurring revenue, monthly membership type of model. And I know Pure has done a good job recently of launching their Brew Crew. I am a Brew Crew member. Carlsbad is my home tap room where Cheyna is right now. And I can tell you that has absolutely increased my spend, not just for me, but also for my family, not just with the dollars that I'm spending on the membership, but also because I'm coming in with my wife. I've taken my team there for Member Mondays and things like that. And so I think that if I could push one thing to the group today, I think it'd be that kind of membership model and how effective that can be for adding dollars in the tap room. For sure.
Your current guests spending more money. And everyone, we're having this conversation in early 2025. It's a great time to focus on resolutions, find ways to better ourselves both personally and professionally. But it's not just about us wanting to find ways to get our guests spending more. It's about getting our staff excited to implement these steps of service and hospitality. So for everybody here today, how do you train your staff to identify upsell opportunities and provide excellent service at the same time?
I think we kind of already hit on it, is where I think Courtney had mentioned, like, you have to get the staff enthusiastic about the product. If the staff is enthusiastic about the brand, that's going to reflect into the customer spend. It's pretty easy to do because if you're coming out with new beers, even the same beers, then you just have to find the new intricacies of it. There's always something new about it, a different hop or a different barley, or is it wheat? Is it gluten-free? There's just so many minutes that you can really dig into one product. One beer, there's a lot that goes into making just one beverage. So there's always more to learn about it, about the process. So for me, I think that relates to also what we've covered is the fundamentals of training the staff, is like getting them to know the facility, getting them to know what made that product, so that they can be like, hey, this beer is not just a liquid in a can, but it came from a whole production packaging line and a lot of local ingredients, which is really cool stuff. And the support for the local community resonates immediately because a lot of the local community is in probably your taproom space at that point. So it's all about relating to the guests at that point and reflecting those enthusiasms.
Matthew, at Hardywood, what types of training are you doing to bring your team together and educate them, walk them through the facility? Walk us through that.
What I consider basically the template for anyone who's going to be a shift lead or who sort of shows an investment and a know-how and sort of can reach that next level leadership is the tour trainings. If you can get through the tour training, then you know everything about Hardywood from its inception, from the people who work there, from the ideals that we run with, right down to what I was just saying, the manufacturing aspect of it. What are those 4 big tanks? Which is the hot brewing portion and cold brewing portion? What is it that makes your beverage and makes your ultimately your job relevant? And that relevance is what is bringing everybody into the tap room. So that is basically my template for anyone that can be in a leadership position. Is like, you have to be able to conduct a tour, know the facility, and it's exciting. I mean, for me, and maybe I'm more excited about it than most people, but I hope that relates to the training process. Because I'm like fascinated with the entire process of coming out with this beverage in my hand and relay that. And if you can get the staff excited about that, you're going to get the guests excited about it, and it's going to continue rolling.
So real quick follow-up, Massey, like looking at your staff, and I'd love for everyone else to respond with this when you kind of give your answer as well, but what percentage of your staff would you say are those, typical beer nerds who, are seeking out the coolest brewery experiences already versus people who just like to educate and socialize and engage with people?
You talking staff or guests?
Staff.
We have a lot of teachers that work with us. So
I love that.
Yeah, there's a what also says something about the larger picture of where teachers are at now. But they're all craft beer enthusiasts. They wouldn't be here if they weren't. But a lot of people are just here, because they need some extra income. But so you can definitely see a separation. Some people are going to school and they just need a quick pick me up. And we bet our staffing and our hiring process is pretty thorough. We don't want just anybody behind the bar that's just going to be slapping their phone away and not paying attention. So we have a real big vetting process and a very little turnaround and high tenure. And we keep that way for a reason, because the good staff encourage more good staff. And we vet that quite a bit. So I think, a lot of them are craft beer enthusiasts. They're going to other breweries all the time. And they're giving a lot of feedback and insight at what other breweries are doing, because there's no shortage of breweries in Richmond, Virginia.
So, Courtney, I want to throw it to you now. So how does being a former elementary school influence your staff training?
Well, sometimes when we talked about the kids earlier, we have a lot of kids that come running through the hallways. So that's always exciting.
So have the locker doors there?
No, we don't have locker doors, but we have all of the original hardwood flooring, and we have really one long hallway, and kids love to run up and down the hallway. So we actually do train on how to interact with families and kids and keeping the children safe. But going back to the beer and the hospitality side of things, we have, like Massey said, we're very, very particular about who we bring into the team. A lot of our team members have been here for a very long time, and we want to make sure anyone that is joining the team is going to be an amazing fit and an asset. I would say we probably have like 50-50 that we have a good, strong, like beer geek side. And then the other side is focused more on hospitality. But we educate them on the beer and get them excited about the beer, but they came in with the hospitality experience. So I think having those two come together, and we meet once a month, and we talk about what's happening at the brewery. We talk about new beers that are going to be coming out, new merchandise, new events, so that everybody's really educated on what's going to happen the next month. We also do a recognition for team members. So either myself or your peers can recognize you for something that you did really well during the previous month. So if we see somebody go really above and beyond for a guest, we're going to acknowledge that, and we give them a little button, and then we have a bus that gets passed around for somebody that's just really, really gone above and beyond. So that the staff gets really, really excited about that. And then we also use the secret hopper, and we go through that report every single month, and whoever got the highest rating, they get a little prize. So they seem to get really excited about that, but just really trying to educate them on anything new coming out.
So I appreciate the shout out, but you glazed over the bus. Tell us a little bit more about the bus that you get as a reward.
Yeah, so we have 2 meetings per month. We have our full-time staff meeting, and then we have our pub meeting. So it's, separated, because usually the full-time staff is sort of the admin, accounting and finance and all of that fun stuff. We each have our own bus, and it gets passed around to a different employee each month.
Is it like a toy bus, school bus?
Yeah, so it's about this big, okay? But the fun thing is whoever gets the bus, they have to add something to it before they give it off the next month. So it's like this hodgepodge, and it's kind of like a little time capsule, honestly. So like one of them has a little COVID mask on that somebody put on from COVID when we were all masked up and running around here. And it's really fun to sort of reminisce on the things that have been added to the bus. And the staff tend to get really excited because they get to add something. And so then they keep it on their desk or in one of the public places for a month before they pass it on to the next person. So it's just really cool that that's just this extra thing that they get excited about and they strive
like
for.
The Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
the Stanley Cup actually came here once too.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Did the Avalanche win it?
You know what? So I'm not a hockey fan. I would imagine that they probably did. It was when I first got here, and I had never seen a hockey game in my life. And I was the events manager at the time. And the Stanley Cup, they were hiding it in the gym. And we literally have an old school gymnasium.
That's right.
And all the lights were off and everything. Nobody was in there. And I went in and I took a selfie with it. And posted it on Facebook, and then security was like, "What are you doing here? You are not supposed to be in here." So I snuck in to get a pic with the Stanley Cup, and I really didn't know the significance of it at the time.
Well, you got the picture, and that's important.
I do, and it comes up every year on my Facebook now. So.
Love that. No, Ross, I'd love to kind of hear from you on this one. Once again, you're engaging with lots of breweries, whether you're trying to get the staff to download an app or just do any certain behavior. What tips do you have for staff to kind of follow through on specific action?
Yeah, well, I actually, if you don't mind, Cheyna, I would defer to you on this because I feel like Pure Project, you guys did a great job when you launched the app. And I know there was a lot that went into that with kind of like, I think what you did, and correct me if I'm wrong here, was you kind of soft launched and you had the staff interact with it and download it and make sure they understood that it's not a scary thing. It's really easy to use. And then also I think from my interaction with the bartenders there in Carlsbad is that, you were really clear with them kind of early on that the reason you were doing this was so that we could fill the tap room and everyone could have better shifts. And so making sure everyone kind of was lined up and like thinking the same way about why we were doing this went a long way, it seemed like. So, but you mind if I pass that over to you in case I'm missing anything? Yeah.
No, my pleasure. And if I mute myself, one of our amazing warehouse supervisors is here delivering the goods. So we got some kegs clinking. So hopefully there's not too much background noise, but thank you, Ross, for helping our director of marketing's dream come true with the app, our beer club. She's had dreams of having a beer club for years, and this seemed to be the best avenue for us. Transparency is key. Just communication in general is one of the hardest things and one of the most important. So we were very upfront. We did a whole Q&A and a fact sheet, and we trialed it internally with all the department heads first with the app. It was very simple. It's so user friendly, and nowadays just SMS is losing some traction. We still have our email following, but just everyone, the majority of people have apps and they're right on their phones. So just the ease of it, how user friendly it was, and then making sure we trialed it, Ross answered any questions we had, got any bugs out of the way, and then provided our team internally the ability to download it. You can download it for free, the Pure Project app, and you get instant rewards when you download it. And then we'll release rewards maybe once a month or every so often, things to drive people in. I know this is more about retention and how you upsell and cross-sell, but now we have that following. And then that beer club, Mondays are a slower day. So anyone that we wanted to make it reasonable, it's $20 a month. You get a $1 beer each week. It doesn't go over. So you do have to use it that week. You get 20% off member Mondays too. And so just finding things that are reasonable and draw people in on their slower days. And and just giving the transparency of giving the team all the resources and the foundation to be able to translate that information and get guests on board. If we're just talking about the app specifically, it's been amazing. And we've seen our membership go up in it, probably far exceeded our expectations initially too. Like we have goals, we have a whole tracking sheet, and we haven't really lost any too, maybe one or two here, but then you gain more too. And just offering people rewards that are relative and excite them too.
So Cheyna, bringing it back to upsell opportunities, because I'm sure you have your staff encouraging the app download to a lot of the guests, but is there a specific action with regard to upselling you really encourage your team to do?
With upselling, I do want to touch on the previous question, which I know everyone kind of brushed on hiring, but I just want to stress how important hiring is. We get flooded with resumes and interest all the time, but you really finding the people that truly want to work for your brewery or your company, are passionate and they care. You can train people on operations, you can educate them, but I feel like you can't train people to care as much. So just naturally having that true passion is huge. And then we have a whole orientation and onboarding as we bring people on. And it doesn't just go over our employee handbook and kind of the legalities we have to touch on. We have an education session on our core beers. We have a whole training session on just culture alone, just letting new team members know exactly who we are, what they're representing. They don't have to live and breathe it in their day-to-day lives, but you do have to represent us and what we do and be the bigger voice for the planet and the farmers and everyone. So that whole process of training and onboarding is vital and really setting them up and making expectations and standards clear. I want to let everybody know from the start what we expect. We do have really high expectations, but I want to help you live up to that. So we'll be clear and transparent about what they are. We have checklists, we have trainings, we have everything to set you up for success. And then you are expected to live up to that too. So just hiring is vital, just for everything across the board.
Yeah.
Okay, now what was your question, Andrew?
Yeah, so I guess looking at the pure team, trying to get guests spending more, is there a specific thing you're typically recommending to them, whether it's encourage people to have a second beer and push beer to go? Is there any, action item you really want them to kind of master as a habit, and how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, we always want people to be responsible, but also, and stay long enough so they can have that second beer. Beer to go is so vital and so key. We have, we've put in labels and notes on every single POS across all 5 locations, offer beer to go. But I'm not a pushy salesperson. I've been in retail in many different industries. It's not my nature. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to get to know you, and I'm going to figure out what you're looking for and what's best suited for you. And I think really being the example, you touched on Carlsbad specifically, Ross. Before I was hospitality manager and helped oversee the experience and our people in all 5 locations, I started in Miramar, our original location, and then I helped open Carlsbad. We opened July 2020 through COVID. So Massey, I feel you on that one. It was a wild ride, but your boots on the ground, and I was on the floor behind the bar every single day for hours a day with the team. And I can't expect them to push this product and upsell and cross-sell if I'm not doing it myself. So I think just being the biggest lead by example is key, and the team just absorbs that around you too. And then as I've stepped a little more off the floor, they got to soak that in, and we have veterans that live up to that experience and that expectation, and so new team members get to feel that too, and not losing that culture. And especially it doesn't have to be the push at the sale at the end when they're closing out. If I know someone's ordering Tropical Mist or Blonde Ale with organic oranges and they're ordering a pint, before they walk away to drink it, I'm going to let them know, hey, if you really love it, we got it in 4 packs to take it home with you. It's planting all of those little seeds being the example, planting those seeds, and then encouraging your team to just naturally do that throughout the whole session. And if they like this dry stout, oh, well, just wait. You know, you love bourbon or you love hazelnuts. We have this one in bottles. Let me give you a splash of it. You know, splashing and passing things around, especially new product, is just, it's huge, and it just gains people interest, and they get a little extra on the house. So it's fun.
It's those authentic ways to connect. And really what we're talking about is hospitality. And I want to dive into a little Secret Hopper data for a minute, because it does show the importance of this. And it's really interesting because, you know, even me, I've been preaching hospitality for about a decade, but it hasn't always been something tap rooms universally dedicate a lot of energy towards. And also something that the guests expect. I mean, we all remember going to breweries that were in warehousey districts where you didn't know if you were in the right place, and a guy creeped out from behind the bar and served you something. Things have changed a lot, but I believe it's vital right now. And staff engagement, like we're talking about, is so important because they're the ones building the relationships and educating your guests. And when you look at our data, it's a data set of nearly 10,000 visits from 2017 to 2020. The difference in guest spending on low engagement visits, you know, when the staff's barely going through the motions, versus high engagement visits where they're asking the questions, they're getting ready to know the guest, they're really trying to find a way to connect. The difference is 14% more spend on the high engagement. Now, looking at 21 to 2022, the difference is 29% higher, with guests receiving high engagement and spending more. Now, this is when it really gets interesting. From 2022 to 2024, guests who receive a high level of engagement spend 40% more than guests receiving low. And we're really in the hospitality business. So how are all you, we talked about it a little bit more prior, but I want to dive in a little bit more, creating these emotional connections with guests to turn them into super fans? I'd love to really dive into that one.
Yeah.
I'll dive in first, I guess, since I was. It's everything we said, from the hiring, the training, and just people to care. It's the best part of our industry, why we're all here, right? In the craft beer industry, is just we're a global community, and getting to know people, all walks of life, local, national, global. I mean, we have people that come from Japan. I don't know how they know who we are. There's people in San Diego that still don't know who we are, and we're one of their pit stops, and it's just incredible. And even if there's a language barrier, it's just so fun. So those connections, you know, we all are here because we relate on an interest, which is craft beer and the experience in hospitality. And so this is all what we relate on, and you just get to learn about other people and humans. And you know, and especially if they sit at the bar and you have time, it's the most beautiful part of our industry. And so finding through your hiring as well, you know, customer service, those questions you ask are so vital, because people can get really jaded, you know, and you do deal with challenges in it. So I think identifying people that truly care and embrace customer service and are willing to, and, you know, we encourage our team too, we empower them. You have every right to make executive decisions to just make sure that guest walks away happy. And also making it feel like a home away from home. The ambiance and the atmosphere in our spaces, there's so much work that goes from our owner to our architects, to the builders, to the taproom managers, from the lighting to the cleanliness, to the vibe, to the music, what time of day, what day of week. Every little bit, we just want every single walk of life to feel like this is your home away from home. And it matters. It makes a difference. And we have tourists, especially that come into the location I'm at, that come in year round, you know, and they're here for 7 days, and they thought they were just going to stop in and get one round of beers, and they end up here for 5 of their 7 days of their vacation. We become that comfort for them. So the atmosphere and the energy you create in your space is just, it's everything too.
Cheyna, for you, I mean, Pure is such a unique place. Is there a certain aspect of your ambiance that you truly love more than anything?
I mean, I think every tap room they have themes to me, and they have extra detail. Our owner, Matt Robar, he's incredibly detailed. So we started in Costa Rica, you know, so getting to tell the story of, we have a Perotta wood. It's part of the Guanacaste tree, which represents Costa Rica. It's a strip of wood that inlines our concrete bar, and we have a Guanacaste common table and the railing, and then we have copper rain gutters outside of our tap room because we're right by the ocean, and the train station's across from us, and they have copper line, which is now turned teal due to the oxidation, due to the salt water in the air. So, matching your environment and detailing every little aspect of it. We kept the open old wood trusses and just sandblasted them because this is the rustic beach vibes jungle, and then you touched on North Park earlier. That's your backyard vibe. So we have a bunch of fire pits and egg chairs, more loungy space. And it's just, I love everything. I love every little detail and every little story. It's really about the story you can tell people, right? Right behind me, this is all Core 10. It's specialized like rustic metal to fit our rustic beach vibes at this location in particular. And you go to our headquarters in Vista, it's massive ceilings and space, and they're attached to the production, our main headquarters now. And it's all open with all the plants too to represent Costa Rica and the jungle vibes. And so I call that the modern industrialized jungle. And it's just every space has character and is beautiful in its own right. And it's telling the stories which touch on our roots and where we started too.
Storytelling is so important.
Sound awesome.
I just learned something. What was the name of that Costa Rican wood?
Guanacosta. It's a tree that's in Costa Rica. And so when you come in maybe next Monday, Ross, in our merchandise area, the railing, the Perota wood strip in the middle of the bar, and then the big common table and railing on the west window.
There we go. Awesome.
I think something to add on to that is like cleaning the ambience is critical. I mean, no one's going to want to stay in just what used to be a brewery warehouse anymore. You have to create that ambience. But
although those were really cool back in the day, can we say that?
100%. That's probably one of the reasons we're all here.
Yeah, because you couldn't get in a warehouse and make this happen. One of the other aspects to Cheyna's point is with that cultural awareness and that cultural embracing and that worldly vibe is that you have to be able to offer to those cultural niches as well. So it's not that's the thing with Hardywood that's done really well is that it's trying to be it's trying to embrace every one of those little nuanced particulars, whether it's dietary, whether it's the gluten, celiac, or whether it's even kosher. We produce kosher products for anyone with that particular affiliate. You have to have non-alcoholics. You have to have NAs. So we make lemonade and ginger beer now. Not everybody drinks beer. No matter how much you tell them that there's a beer out there that they're going to love and that will fulfill their satisfaction for a beverage need, there's people who just won't do it. So you got to have wine. But then you also and cider, and then some people just liquor drinkers. So if you can pull that off, we do it with the Department of Agriculture in one location, and with the health department in the other through food service, we can provide liquor sales. So and it's done phenomenally well, and that's what keeps some people coming back. Is one person comes, there's that enthusiastic beer drinker that we're talking about, that full on beer geek, but they're with 4 other people that are like, well, we just came with this guy, and we're not beer geeks. And so it's like, okay, well, we got something for everybody, no matter what walk of life. And so for me, that's a big part that keeps everybody coming back as well. It's like we've got kombucha, it's local made kombucha with some probiotics. We've got your iced tea, and then sourcing as locally as possible. But like we have to go national on a lot of things as well. But it also brings national awareness as well because people they're familiar with the product. So familiarity is really key to making someone feel comfortable as well. It's like, oh, I like this stuff that they have. I've seen it. If I came from Japan, or I came from China, or I came from international at that point, or I came from California, I can see these relevant products that resonate and strike a chord with you. So you just have to be able to. It's from the ambience to the actual offerings. To the guest experience, to the staff.
Massey, if I can piggyback on what you're saying there, just with a quick personal note, I'm in the camp where, like you said, that the variety was key. Like I wanted to go to Pure Project all the time. My wife didn't, right? But what she found was that Pure Project has this smoothie beer. She's not a beer drinker. I haven't seen her drink a beer. We've been together for 15 years. I've seen her drink like 2 beers, but we can go in because you have those smoothie beers, Cheyna. We can go into Pure Project. It's just a simple ask for me these days. And she can go and she can have that smoothie beer, and like I can get a couple and it's good to go. So that totally, I think, is key, having that option for people that are not necessarily your beer nerds.
Those smoothie beers are loaded with a couple 1,000 pounds of organic fruit too, direct farmer. And Touching Massey hit it 10 years ago. You could just have craft beer and it was hyped up and you would crush it. And now people are a lot more conscious on what they're spending. They want more of the experience. You have the rest of the group that's not a beer drinker. We finally got wine in-house. We were working on that licensing for over a year and a half, I think. So we have our first cider coming out next week. So you have to have the NAs, you have to expand your experience. So you just have to adapt, especially since COVID. I think this is just where you have to adapt your business model. You have to be willing to change. We still stay true to what we do, which is great quality craft beer. We will never shy away from that, but you have to expand the experience.
Absolutely. So Courtney, out of Bristol, what else are you all doing to put out that just amazingly hospitable experience?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we did, and it's been implemented for a while now, pre-COVID, the way the building worked was completely different. And we had ongoing struggles and it was definitely impacting the guest experience. So we had one kitchen that serviced the entire building, and we have a very large building. So at times we could have a ton of people in here, and people would come into the pub side of things and they would get full service food and beer. We offered, some sodas, things like that. But we would have ticket times sometimes on a Friday or Saturday night up to 45 minutes for food. And people were just not happy about that. So it was actually not for everyone, but for us was a blessing in disguise when COVID shut everything down. And we really pivoted quickly and we changed our liquor license and we renovated the building and the way that we service our guests. So we went from individual liquor license. So one half of the building was wine and cocktails. And then we had our half of the building. So when guests would come in, they would essentially walk in the main doors. And if they went to the left, they could have wine and cocktails. If they went to the right, they would have beer, but they couldn't cross over. So we essentially had a hall monitor that was hey, I know that you have your beer and your guests want to go down and get cocktails. You can't do that. And just overall, there was frustration. There was frustration from our team and from our guests. So Bristol ended up, and I took over and redid the entire license for the building. And now it's very free flowing. So we can accommodate those guests where we have a lot of large groups, and you'll have some of them that want beer and some that want wine and cocktails. And we try to focus on our craft. So we only make beer, and we also make root beer. But
that's a game changer.
Yeah, that's what we focus on. And then we have the principal's office, which their craft is cocktails. And so they, guests can have that sort of mingled experience, and you don't have to say, oh, well, I'm going to stay down here and you can go over there. We also went away from one kitchen, and now we have 5 in the building. So it definitely helps with ticket times and with those large parties. If you have someone in your group that wants burgers and fries and someone else that wants barbecue and beer, they can do that. And hopefully they end up with a better experience when they leave. And I think that they are.
Courtney, how vital is the food component to your overall experience?
I think it's crucial. We have a lot of people that come in and don't end up getting food, but the ones that do, and be able to have quick ticket times and the variety that we're able to offer now, I think definitely helps the building. And we've seen a lot of larger groups come in because they know that we have that variety and that flexibility, and they can get in and out if they need to, or they can stay and explore the building and spend plenty of time here. During the summer especially, we have a very large outdoor space, and you'll see guests that will start down in the beer garden, and then they'll go into the barrel room and they'll have a beer. They'll make their way upstairs, and then next thing you know, they're down, grabbing food, or they're getting cocktails, and then they end at Axe and Oak, which is the whiskey house. So there's just a lot of different experiences in one building, but we tried to work together, even though they're different businesses, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Thanks for sharing all that. Now, Massey, I'd like to turn it to you for a minute. When I was last at one of your locations, I had this amazing pimento cheese and pickles appetizer. It was so good. I literally dream about it. But you have two locations. One has a delicious pizza kitchen. The other does a mix of food trucks and on-site snacks. How do you think of food as a tool to get guests spending more and hanging out longer?
I think food is critical. I mean, that's obviously it's going to help you metabolize the beer that much faster so that you can drink more beer or have more food. But one thing that we've noticed in the secret hopper reports is that like a lot of people are coming for the beers, and like it says, did you get any pizza? And they're like, no. And I'm always surprised by how many people don't come for the beer. For the food. But it's critical, especially for the revenue aspect of it, because that's bringing it in. It's not somebody else that can do it. Whereas at our pizza location with the Hardywood Pizza Kitchen downtown, it's crucial. And licenses are different from state to state, but that's what allows us to be able to have cocktails there. So we can do like some super signature style cocktails. But the food is super attractive, especially the pimento with the pickles, because we have a kitchen staff that's super enthusiastic about brining and about souring, that kind of stuff. And so they're really on board with it. At the West Creek location, it's a little bit different licensing. We do food trucks. We don't have a full kitchen, but with the Department of Agriculture, we're allowed to reheat food items. And so we took we were gonna break ground and put this big, massive kitchen in here, which was gonna be like, way over the top. And then COVID hit, so we put a pizza kitchen downtown instead. And so what Courtney was expressing earlier, with COVID being sort of a hidden opportunity, that's what we did. Is we made a pizza kitchen downtown. Worked great. West Creek, not so much. Much larger facility. So you can't deny the simplicity of the basics of what mass appeal. Because we have a pizza kitchen, we offer all these super unique local artisan type food fairs, but the ones that sell are the cheese, the pepperoni, and the margarita. Mm-hmm. Can't deny that. So we have to cater to that. We have to work towards that. That's what the people want. Like I said right off the bat, give them what they want. And that's what they want. So we'll give you a little bit of like local fanfare, but like that pepperoni and margarita are hitting it. At West Creek, we're allowed to reheat food. We took a pretty rudimentary process of getting a hot dog roller, and we're like, well, we got a ton of kids out here. Let's try some pretzels. We can reheat it. Hot dogs. We don't have to cook anything. And holy jeez, these people love their pretzels and hot dogs. And
how are you encouraging all those items? Like when someone orders a beer, you say, "In this, food item's going to go pair well with it," or what's that process look like?
No, I mean it's practically the first thing you see when you walk in. So it's all about signage. It's not when somebody orders a beer, we're like, "You want one of those hot dogs, some of those glizzies with it?" It's not the best upsell, but it's right in front of them. So when they're ordering a beer, it's like right next to them. You can't help but see it. You can smell it. And so, while it's super generic, and there's nothing local about our hot dogs, but it's what the people have spoken. And so we give it to them. And so it's become a very critical part of our operations now. And it's like significantly increased our revenue quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So food is critical. If you can get food and eat, find a way. That's the thing. If you can find a way, there's a whole lot of different licenses. I mean, there's the health department and then the Department of Agriculture, which every brewery is dealing with. There's probably a way that you can just reheat food and make a profit off of it.
And that's what it comes down to, trying to find ways to make more profits. Mm-hmm. Now, we could probably talk for hours upon hours on this content, but I want to talk to you a few more points as we wind down. And Cheyna, I'd like to turn this to you because I saw something really unique when I was at your North Park Taproom. So often I go to a brewery, I get myself a shirt, but my kid always wants one, but I never want him to be the kid at school wearing a shirt that says brewing company. I don't know why I'm not there yet. You actually had a shirt made for children that just said Pure Project on it. It has some nice imagery on it, and I got it for him, and he absolutely loves it. I didn't plan this. He's wearing it today. But anyways, where does merchandise fall into your scheme of, getting guests? Scheme's probably not the right word, but getting guests spending more money.
the bait and trap.
Yeah, merchandise is an interesting one. I feel like it can be really hit or miss, and it's just those extra sales. Just like food or extra sales, we never had food at any location, and now as people, you need to expand the experience and adapt with times. We are licensing and permitting is a bit tricky out here, especially in California, but we're working on just easier methods to get food in our spaces. Collaborating with Empanada Kitchen, we have that in our Bankers Hill location, and hopefully putting it into our Miramar location, and then some other ideas that we're working on. But when it comes to merchandise, we still want to source it, how we source our ingredients. We source our ingredients local, organic, and seasoned. We don't want to strip the nutrients of the soil. So we want to support manufacturers and vendors that have more of that eco-minded mindset and that take care of their workers too. So our merchandise will be a little bit on the higher tier. You want your profit margins. They're not always going to be the 50-50. Some of our margins will be smaller, but we have a lot of signage describing, and it's representing. It was a big goal of our last year to revamp that and just telling people what they're buying, how it's all organic, how it's recycled, or what they're supporting. Sometimes the profits go to nonprofit. And when it comes to merchandise, you have to try to figure out what's trendy for kind of locals in your community industry. But we also have, being in San Diego, we have so many tourists that come in year round, right? So they want to have San Diego, or they want to have Carlsbad, or they want this like on their merchandise. So it's listening to the feedback and adapting to that over time, and doing probably seasonal smaller launches. And if something we had an example, we have these French terry cloths crew neck shoot. I should have worn it. I'm wearing my Pride shirt today though.
Love it.
The proceeds of this shirt all went to another nonprofit we support, but that sold out instantly, and we trialed and error. So then it was just reorder as fast as we can, but you don't want to sit on a lot of inventory too. So I think merchandise is tricky. We had feedback for years about getting youth sizes or baby onesies in. And so we were finally able to put that into fruition a couple years ago. And you want it fun and colored, and you don't want it to just say beer and brewery. So it says Pure Project, our symbol. A lot of people think we're a water company. Maybe that is for the
kind of water company.
Small water companies.
Yeah.
Sloths are our theme. So I don't know if your kid's wearing that shirt, but we have a Perezoso. It was actually a smoothie beer we came out with, but it had a sloth. It was blue. It was pink. It was colored. It's wearing cool shades and sunglasses. And we tried that as an adult shirt. Did okay. Tried it as a kid's shirt. We're reordering them. So it is a bit of trial and error and trying to understand, whether you have a huge sporting team. Padres are crushing it, so just trying to get things that people are going to that they're going to be obsessed with and want. Listening to feedback.
It is that sloth shirt. So yeah, we're going to talk some feedback. We're going to talk some data right now. So how do you all use data and customer insights to guide this decision making and increase guest loyalty, spend, and fostering loyalty? And if you have any specific data points that metrics you love to monitor, feel free to share those as well.
Data-driven decisions really, really are everything, and adapting and looking at how they change year to year, month to month. We've been really honed into that in the last couple of years and making a lot of decisions off that, from our POSs and sales of certain items and certain promos and trial and error and what worked. And then even to our back end and our whole P&L and everything, it's vital.
When it comes down to your taproom staff, Cheyna, are there certain metrics you like to share with them?
We are, they can see, especially our shift supervisors, they have full access to all the sales details in that particular taproom, which they can absolutely share. We are very transparent. We have town halls. We have 2 a year, where the owners give a huge update on where we're at, where the economy is at. We've started that over the last couple of years, especially through COVID. Just felt like I've never worked for a company that was so transparent. And I feel like people really do appreciate understanding where we're at. It also helps them to understand why we make certain decisions, whereas we might expand our experience and get wine in and get cider or try some food things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's everything.
I would agree. We actually have our full-time staff meeting tonight, and every month ownership goes over the previous month and quarter. This year, or this meeting, we're going over the previous year. And it's no surprise because we've done it every month. So it's very transparent where we're sitting. But then in our monthly pub meeting, I'll go over numbers that are specific to the pub. We'll talk about the overall sales goals, how we're tracking, what is selling really well, sort of some of those low-hanging fruit, things that maybe need a little bit of a boost. But then we also talk about what's working and what's not working, because I want feedback from the team that's interacting with guests every day. They're really excited about this, or we've had a lot of people asking for XYZ, and we're keeping track of all of that.
Are there any favorite metrics you like, Courtney, to monitor how well your staff's doing with certain of the habits you try to train?
Yeah, I mean, we will look at the secret hopper metrics, and we have 4 really key things that we're looking at that are specific to our operation. But then we're also looking at check averages for our food component. I'm looking at ticket times, total number of guests that are coming through the building, and then overall spend.
Yeah.
Good one there.
I can from the TapWise perspective, kind of like we have a relatively unique perspective, but there's kind of 4 metrics that we like to encourage our customers to look at. Number 1 is the number of downloads. That's going to be basically how many people you can reach out to through your app at any given time. The second one is push notifications. And your response rate on push notifications when you send one out. Generally, that's about 25% of your guests, if it's a good message, are going to interact with your app after receiving it. And then the third one is rewards. You have to come into the Taproom to redeem a reward. So knowing how many rewards are getting redeemed is a good metric to keep an eye on. And then the last one is just dollars that are flowing through your app, both in terms of kind of one-time purchases if you have set your membership up that way, or recurring. If you do have a recurring, growing that annual recurring revenue, that ARR, that's the one that we like to look at. And I'll just mention one other thing that we're excited about, which is being able to track referrals for both downloads and membership sales, which was a request, Cheyna, from Mackenzie. So that you can run sales contests and things like that.
I love that so much.
Yeah. So that's what we're excited about.
Every reward we do through Tapwise, we look, especially with our 9th anniversary, we have one every single week, and we're looking at how many people redeemed, what worked, how much revenue we got from it. Did it seem to impact, if we had a can release and we did a crowler special, and they were, just looking at every little thing and all the trends, and just seeing what works better and what drives more people in, or gets them to spend more when they're in-house, right?
Okay, as we wind down, everybody, Massey, I want to hear from you real quick on the data and any favorite KPIs. Would love to hear what you already were diving into.
To one of Courtney's points, the staff is one of my biggest metrics as far as like what's working, what's not working, and we do a lot of analytics. We use Toast as our POS, and I'm not trying to put an endorsement out there, but Toast has got really great reports and analytics that we can reference annually, daily, monthly, weekly, and then I also keep my own sort of Google spreadsheet that just breaks down every single little detail of every day. What was the best sellers? Why were they the best sellers? What was happening? What was the event? What was the correlating event? I can look back for years to see how our New Year's Eve went, depending on our hours. Were the hours appropriate? Were they slow during the day of New Year's Eve and then high at night, because they typically are? So we can adjust that, and we can make the staff a little bit happier for not having to work hyper long hours, because we've learned with those metrics and with keeping tabs on those kind of reports that we've learned how to best provide for the staff hours and to basically economize our process and refine it and make it better. So I think a key point is retaining all that for yourself, having that information at your disposal as fast as you can get it. And so my team has access to it. They can see what was happening this same day 3 years ago, just from the reports that I've made. And I keep that up every day, and you can see how much you sold. And then you can also inform your staff and say, hey, last year, or this time last year was a big day. Like we should be prepared for like the day before Thanksgiving is freaking huge every year. Everybody's going out, and I think that's ubiquitous in the industry. But it's like we can see exactly how much we did at both locations, and we can prepare for it, and we can staff it, and we can say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should be open an hour later, and we do that. And it's like, oh, that was a big game changer. And it keeps the staff informed, and that's one of the best things that you can have with your staff is like making them be a part of the entire process. They love the information. They love being a part of the decision-making process. So those metrics are good. We use that for like merchandise, what's selling, what's not selling. And we check averages. I'm not the biggest data-driven guy, but I love having as much information as possible. And I know that Secret Hopper always endorses engagement, and that's pretty critical in all the metrics. I mean, it's hard to measure engagement, but it's easy to see if you're on the front lines and you're in the staff and you're encouraging it. And to Cheyna's point, and you're leading by example so that everybody else is doing it. So a lot of stuff you can't put in metrics. It just has to be like naturally, hospitably driven.
Absolutely. And when you can kind of create that engaging, educational, hospitable experience, those guests are going to be the ones who come back sooner and spend more money. And that's what we're all driving for, finding ways to connect with each on the personal level to make them feel a deeper connection to your brand. And as we wind down, I want to first thank the four of you for being here. I could probably listen for hours upon hours to all the insight you all have to share. So we'll have to continue this at some point. But as we wind down, we're going to narrow it down to like one final question. We appreciate everybody for tuning in today as well, or watching in the future. If each of you had one piece of insight to leave those who have taken the time to hang out with us for an hour, what would that be? Ross, go first. Take us home.
Throwing it out to everyone. Yeah. Well, I said at the beginning, I'll say it again. If you think about recurring revenue and memberships, and if you don't have one in place, it can do a lot for your revenue. And if you have one, just ask yourself if you're maximizing it and what you can do to do that.
Who's next?
I'll go. Oh,
We'll go in the circle.
I think so many times I tell the staff, like the guests have so many places that they can go and spend their money. There's so many options everywhere. We want them to feel amazing when they leave here and feel like they were welcomed and they were taken care of. That's how they're going to come back. So just really making sure that we take care of them and they feel great when they leave here.
Good one there. Cheyna, you're up.
That was a great one, Courtney. To not be a broken record, it's to go on more of the internal side of it. Your people are everything. Your team is everything. The business has to survive to be there for the people, but really making sure your team is appreciated, is shown appreciation, is seen, is acknowledged. A lot of businesses and companies, sometimes people are just a number, and I think really understanding the business doesn't survive without the people is key. So, and setting them up for success so that they can take care of those guests and those guests, they might have been waiting 5 years just to come here. It sounds crazy, but we'll see that in reviews. We'll have people come in, they've been waiting so long, and you go through so many guests a day, but that extra minute or two or however long you spend with them to connect, it can make and break an experience. And it's the simplest thing too that exceeds it.
And I can't wait for my next time to visit Pure in San Diego.
Let me know when you come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have preferred
Take
to
care of you.
one direct flight back to you. Massey, take us home.
Yeah, I don't think it can be understated to Cheyna's point about the staff. It's always talking about elevating the guest experience, and ultimately that's the impression we want to make, elevate the guest experience. But you have to elevate the staff experience at the same time as well. They have to enjoy the place they work at. If they're happy, then it's just going to reflect into the guests as well. So for me, and to give a suggestion or feedback for anybody that's in sort of a leadership position is to, ultimately I consider myself the support. I'm there to make their life as easy as possible. If I listen to all their feedback and I follow through with it. If they just need a new vacuum to work with the barrels and to clean the barrels out because it's super tough to get the gritty stuff inside of the barrels, and I'm going to find a way to make their life easier. And if you can make the staff's life easy to come to work and enjoy it, and they don't have the same complaint every single week, and they can see that you're following through as a team leader and that you're listening and that you're engaged. You don't have to just be engaged with the guests. You have to engage with the staff all the time. And that's one of the things that I really try to drive home with that sort of Hardywood hospitality is that like it's internal as well. And that's within departments. All the departments got to get along as well. So as long as you have good company culture is hypercritical. And that to Cheyna's point, the orientation
Culture is everything.
Yeah, it really is everything. And if you can lead that and not just be a boss to it, then that's going to make all the change in the world, and it's going to reflect in everything.
Yeah, culture has definitely been a theme of today. And everyone, I truly appreciate you being here. And Ross, Courtney, Cheyna, and Massey, this has been fun hanging out today. Look forward to pints in person. Everybody have a busy week at the tap rooms, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you all so
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Yeah.
I guess.